Sigmar, welcome to the Live the Width of Your Life podcast.
Aneta, thank you for having me.
So excited to have you here. And it's really interesting because even though we've never met before, I know of you and I know what you've done in the world. And so I'm so excited to talk a little bit more about you and this mission that you are on.
I appreciate this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some information out to your listeners.
Yeah. So you've been an entrepreneur, an artist, a photographer, really a creator for so many years. And then you also wrote a book and created the Love Tuner. So I'm really curious, how did this idea come to be?
It was actually my journey, like when it comes to spirituality, was like a pretty smooth journey. So I had a big connection to nature. So this is where we know where God lives. So I was always like very in tune, but did not really talk about it for a long time. And then when I moved to the States, like about a year later, like this is nearly 20 years ago, I started meditating the classical way. And then I got introduced to the 528 hertz frequency, and I did a breathwork meditation with this frequency. And this was basically where I understood the power of this frequency. Little did I know how important this frequency is. I didn't know the story about this frequency, but it becomes something where I thought that really touched my life and touched my heart. And then we created this product a couple of months actually later when I had this experience. And a friend of mine who passed away became my partner. He had a lot of ideas about it. And so we're growing into something where we did not even know what we are touching. And in no time, people told us actually what it's doing. So we understood two things. We understood breath work, we understood frequency healing, but we did not understand the full concept of it and what it does to people. And what the Love Tuner basically does is it takes you out of your head into your heart. And since this time, all my other businesses became like really secondary. I literally stopped everything and I dedicated my entire time to Love Tuner. And we have a Love Tuner Foundation, so we work with a lot of underprivileged children. We work with veterans for suicide prevention. So it became just more than a product. It's not like a little gimmick. This is, by the way, what I'm wearing here. So this is how the idea actually came along. And it was just a natural thing of all the stuff that I experienced. And then the frequency literally opened up my entire journey as well.
I love so much about this story. And I also find God in nature. And that's where I find the deepest connection. So, how long were you meditating as a regular practice before you discovered breath work and then frequency work, would you say? Or did it all kind of happen around the same time?
I was back in Europe. I was in my teenage years a professional swimmer. So we learned how, to integrate breath work into our workout, even if it was not called breath work back then, but this is what we did. And I started meditating. It was about 6 years before I got introduced to the frequency. So I did it very regular. It helped me a lot. And I think it's for everyone in the world. If you find time to meditate or whatever your spiritual hygiene is, whatever routine you like, I can encourage everyone to do it because we are firing way too many thoughts every day. And if you find a couple of minutes with no mind, because we always talk about mindfulness, I always call it have your mind empty, at least in the time where you meditate. And I think that's the most important thing. And this was also my understanding. So I had first the understanding of breath work. I understood the power of nature, and then everything came together. And with the tuner, it's just a very simple thing because it's a combination of two modalities. And we even have proven that the Love Tuner shortcuts meditation. I mean, it's not what I tell people to shortcut your spiritual hygiene, but it really does. So, for example, when you have a 20-minute meditation, we did a test with 40 people, 20 people doing a class, transcendental meditation. 20 people never meditated before, no spiritual hygiene. And we gave them love tuners. And at the end, we tested their brain waves with a bioresonance feedback machine. And the result was identical. The only thing was the meditation was 20 minutes and the sound healing was depending on your exhale between 5 and 6 minutes. This is how profound this tool is. The great thing, what it is A lot of people have a hard time to meditate, to really stay in there, even if they gap into it a little bit. And then they say, yeah, it's not working for me. It's whatever, I cannot sit still, or whatever their problem is. As soon as you combine it with breath work and with a tone, this tone focuses you and it gives you an audible feedback on your breath work, basically. And the next thing, what it is, it brings you really into the here and now. So you do a conscious breathing break, you arrive in the here and now, and on a spiritual level, because the 520 hertz frequency, this is what the love tuner is calibrated to, is also understood as the love frequency. So on a spiritual level, you're inviting love in your life.
I love it. And for those that aren't familiar with how it works, can you just describe how you use the love tuner? You have it around your neck right now,
Yeah.
which is probably the way I would wear it as well. So you can bring it with you at any place. It's really portable. It's very easy. What are some of the ways that you tell folks to use it if they're using it for the first time?
So, I mean, the good thing is, as you said, it's a necklace. So I gotta show it real quick. I don't know if the computer picks up the audio, but it's like this little single tone flute. So you inhale through your nose, you exhale through your mouth, and you try to extend your exhale. It's not a whistle. It's not about being loud. So you make a subtle, audible tone. It gives you the feedback on your breath work. And then you inhale again. You do 6 cycles of what we recommend, or whatever feels good for you. But this is the sound. I don't know if he picked it up. Sometimes
Yeah.
the computer doesn't. But it's very, very simple. And the way we recommend it, and what I also do myself, is getting up in the morning and setting the tone of the day. So if you have an understanding about what we are only energy and vibration. And if you have a bad vibration in the morning or bad news, like turning on the news right away, turning on the phone, it sticks with you. It's like back in the days when you had like an alarm clock that played a song from the radio. This song, or it was the first song that you've been listening to on the way to work, in your car, whatever it is, this sticked with you. And the same thing is with this kind of frequency. So when you get up in the morning, set the tone of the day. And obviously, this is a positive vibration, and it just helps you. It just aligns your water molecules in your body. It gives you the feeling of relaxation. It calms your nervous systems, because we are actually trapped in this fight and flight mode. This is just how we are wired. And when you use the love tuner, it basically calms your nervous system. You go out of the parasympathetic nervous system, and this is where you get out of the fight and flight mode. So you can make better decisions, you are more centered, you are more focused, and you're acting actually out of your heart field.
Yeah. Did you always know that you were going to use the 528, or were there other frequencies that you were experimenting with?
I mean, it was the 528 because this is what we researched, and this is what we have seen, what it does to water. And 520 hertz restructures water in no time. So we have it even on our homepage, on our science page, we put water under a microscope, and most of the time water, when it comes out of a sink or whatever, is just amorph and it doesn't have a beautiful shape anymore. When it comes out of a mountain spring, it has a perfect hexagonal crystal shape. And when you play the love tune on it, within 30 seconds, it restructures water. And our body is 75% water. So we knew the power of 528 hertz to water. And on the other hand, what we did not know back then is the 528 hertz frequency was actually, for many, many centuries, our C note on a musical scale. So our musical scale got changed. And one very famous artist actually brought it back. And this was John Lennon in the song Imagine. And this is still the most famous love and peace song in the world. And he composed it in 520 hertz. He
Oh,
understood
I
what
know
it
that.
means. So we're all a little bit out of tune, actually. Yeah, this was the background. And then obviously we work a lot with all the other solfeggio frequencies. We also have a multi-frequency tuner, what we sell to therapists, where you can go to the entire chakra system. But the 528 is the frequency that you really need, because it's not a man-made frequency. It's a cosmic frequency. It occurs in every living matter. It occurs in the humming of the bees. It's in the chlorophyll of our trees and leaves. So when you put an amplifier on a leaf and you listen to the sound, it's exactly 520 hertz. So it's really the tone of creation. And it's so aligned with us as a human. It just really helps you. And when you asked me earlier what should you do and how should you do it, it's all about setting the tone. And every time when you start in the morning and then you do a conscious instead of your meditation, for example, or you can do it in combination with a meditation. You use it consciously, and then every time during the day, when something comes up where you just recognize life gets too overwhelming, gets too fast, and you don't know what to do, you take the love tuner, you do a quick breathing cycle, you connect to this frequency, and you're just more balanced and you just make better decisions, And it's not like a woo-woo esoteric gimmick. It's a very profound physical reaction in your body. And I always tell people, and a lot of people are doubters, they're going, what? A whistle, a frequency? And I say, listen, just try it out, because the physical side is one side that everybody can read about it. Okay, I get the concept. But the spiritual concept, a lot of people are just so closed. And over time, when they use the love tuner, what they're doing is basically they're opening up their heart and they're starting to trust themselves again. Their intuition gets better and they just make better decisions in their life. And this I have seen with a lot of people. And this makes me proud. We have a lot of people that have all the knowledge that you need about reincarnation, God, and whatnot, and the soul journey. But we have doubters that go like, listen, I have a stressful life. Is this now a gimmick? Does it do something? Do I have to become a guru? And I said, just take it easy. Just do it, because the frequency works in your body. It's very subtle. It's not an experience like whatever, if somebody takes ayahuasca or something, what is like, it's a very intense impact, and some people are not even prepared for it, don't integrate it. The love tuner works very subtle, so it slowly restructures your entire cellular system. And as we know, all the traumas that we have are captured in our cellular system. And with this frequency, you release this trauma. And that's the most important thing. And this goes steady and constantly.
I love listening to different frequencies, especially when I meditate or when I journal. And this morning, because I knew you and I were talking, I was listening to 528 as I was journaling. And it's incredible just the connection that you have. I really could feel myself really landing deeper into my body and kind of releasing the thinking mind and just allowing the journaling to come from my heart and come to a different place. So, what are some of the testimonials that you've heard that maybe you can share for those that are skeptical or doubters, where people have used the love tuner and it's made a big impact in their life?
I mean, for people, for example, like when it goes into the corporate world, we work with corporation and we do like seminars and we do special sessions. And I have seen this, especially in the corporate world, that people open up. I don't want to say a different person, but they get a different understanding also about the coworkers. So because you connect, and this is what we introduce in companies, is like we say, listen, you have all those meetings, people go in with a huge expectation. There's always pressure. But if you take like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, even enough, and you tune with the team, they all connect in the sound carpet of 520 hertz. And not does it solve your problems or does it do your work, but what it does, it gives you a different perspective. People are way more relaxed. They have a calm nervous system. And this is one of the biggest feedback what I get from people in the corporate world. Then in families, I heard it a lot, especially kids are very open to it. So we do these school programs where children got introduced to the love tuner. And there's two things that happen. In every classroom that we brought the love tuner in, the teachers took it on and they did like 5 minutes every day, a mindfulness 5 minutes before they started their normal class. And what happened is within one semester, we eliminated all the bullying in every classroom. The kids got better grades. And even kids that have been not really friends, but they have been in the same class, they got a different understanding. And the funny thing is what the kids experienced is also experiences on the corporate world. So in teams, there comes a different understanding because our intellect is what separates us. When we go on a heart level, we feel love. And I write about this in my book, and it's not even something that I invented. The Heart Mass Institute, there's a lot of institutions out there that prove the power of the heart. And the funny thing is, in our society, we trust our mind. The mind is not there for the big decisions. And when you go on a heart field, you open up your heart, and hearts are curious. So when a heart actually meets another heart, it senses it right away. And our curiosity is to connect. So hearts want to connect. What disconnects us is actually our intellect. You look at somebody and say, "Oh, what a weird truck ahead is this guy meeting," or whatever it is, whatever you
Yeah.
find, what is in your layers that separates us. This is beautiful to see with children because they are so young, and most classes we are doing is between 8 and 10 years old, and they have way less layers than we have. So they're super open. And as soon as a kid taps into this field, it's unbelievable the feedback you get. It's like a straight connection to God. Kids say stuff. And when you sometimes see people that channel, I always say, listen to kids when they're tuned in, they really tell you what's going on. Because when kids are not overshadowed with all the electronic gimmicks and whatnot, but if they're pretty tuned in with their parents and you give them a tool like this, it's like really unbelievable. So this is why I'm such a big believer in the next generation, because I think this is what we really have to put our effort in. Because as Dalai Lama said, if every kid with 8 years would meditate, the next generation would overcome war. And I really believe in this because I've seen this not 10 times, I have seen this hundreds and thousands times with children. Their reaction is unbelievable. So it's like when sometimes people pay for somebody to channel, it's like, yeah, get your kid right there, get them early, and you can listen to your own kids because it's just impressive how the connection is there.
Yeah. It's incredible to think that in a semester, their nervous systems become regulated, they become more
Absolutely.
compassionate, they become kinder, they start to see themselves maybe not as separate, but as connected to their other little ones in the classrooms. Do the teachers participate as well? Because they need it as well, the staff.
It's funny that you mentioned this. We actually teamed up later on with a foundation. It's called the Edge Foundation. And what they're doing is they're basically having a program. It's called Educate the Educators. Because what we have seen in schools is the kids are completely open to it, but a lot of teachers are not open to it. And then it doesn't work. You cannot force someone into a spiritual practice if they just don't believe in it, if they don't do it, if they come like highly medicated into school because they cannot handle stress anymore. But I have to say, the teachers that we had, we got lucky. They have been very involved and they did great results with the children. And some classes we really, just stopped because not of the kids, it really stopped because of the teachers. And that's funny that you mentioned this. So there's actually more education work that needs to be done with our teachers than with the children because the kids are super cool and they get it right away.
And the teachers are dysregulated. Many of them are in fight or flight themselves, which then we know impacts their classrooms as well. They've got a lot of pressures and they're dealing with a lot of things that we didn't have to deal with before, like school shootings. I mean, there's just a lot that both my sister and brother in law are educators, and I know how stressed they are. I know that the pressures that they're under. So it'd be amazing to be able to get the staff also in a place where they feel regulated and safe, and then think about what the impact could be to their classes as well.
Yeah. I mean, we did some programs here in Los Angeles in really bad neighborhoods, and we did some testing, and it comes down to the same thing. We humans, we long for love. When you have kids that are like either totally whacked out for whatever reason, or they come from really bad families or no family and have seen violence and whatnot to a degree that we don't even understand, they all have the same longings. And this is just literally, please love me or show me love, make me feel love. And I think that's the only communication and conversations we should have right now. It's like literally how to bring more love into something. It sounds so hippie-esque, but that's what it is. There's no explanation anymore. The whole emotional thing, what we take so much care about is about our feelings, but it's not the feeling what we feel entitled to. Like everybody needs to be taken care of how they feel in the moment. It's way better. It's like, can you connect to your heart? Can you connect over your heart to someone else? And do you have an educator that can facilitate this? That people get out of their heads, sit together, understand each other. And this is like not only a school thing, I think in our entire society, we are way too closed up. I mean, the separation right now is like unbelievable. But it all comes down to listening to, my opinion, like real nonsense because it has nothing to do with real life. This is made up separation. And it doesn't matter on what side you stand, if you go inward and you think about it. I'm not talking about war. I'm talking in a regular society that people based on ideology are so separated and so blind that they don't even see what's going on because they're not authentic. And you cannot reach anything if you're not authentic. And if you're in your head and you have ideas that block basically what we call living, then the first thing is find back to be authentic. And if you're not authentic, there's nothing else to be done because you cannot build on sand. And authenticity is the highest frequency we can even reach, because based on authenticity, that you can really trust yourself, that you really know who you are, that you're not fake, then you can start to talk about real deep living, deep understanding. But first is authenticity, and authenticity is the only way to wholeness.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think so many parts of our society are more interested in being loud and being understood instead of seeking to understand. So that further drives this feeling of separation. And whether it's ideological or religious or whatever it is, people can always find those things. And yet, when I travel, you and I were just talking about our homelands, right? When I travel, I just say, we as humans are so similar. We really are. We want the same basic things. I think most people do. And yet we split hairs over the things that we think make us different. And there are people who benefit from that, right? And so one of the things that I love that I read that you said is you said, we don't change the world with noise, we change it with frequency. Tell me a little bit more about that belief or how you think that works.
Like noise overshadows everything. And I mean, I have experienced this in my own personal life. I experienced this in my professional life with the love. It's like if somebody gets loud, whatever, disencourages you or says that's all BS because facts are this and this, and we have a certain pressure and work. But I think the main thing is people are scared about the silence because this is where the power really is. And if people cannot sit in silence, they cannot meditate, they cannot come to a clear vision. This is why they're blurbing out so much and making so much noise. So that's basically what it is. And if you have a certain practice, you understand the power of silence, the stillness of your mind. And this is actually what has the real value in life. You don't have to react to everything. We are so reactive. We see something and everybody blurbs something out. And most people are not even educated. They don't even know what they say. It's just their belief system or what everybody told them. But if you can sit with something for a while, then you will see that it has no meaning. It has no meaning in your life, probably not even a meaning in the person's life that you have an argument with. I don't talk about like Jesus in a way that you have to listen to everything and you give in. And this is not even what Jesus meant. You can be strong and powerful, but you don't have to be loud. You can make your point, you can reach your goal. But the side noise, I have not seen one loud person go all the way. At one point it changes. And at the end, it's the fear of the power of stillness, and it's the fear about love. It's about holding the heart closed, putting up a wall, putting up a story, and overshadowing it with noise. So, in my opinion, and I have seen this, as I said, on both sides, personal and professional life, you just need to let the noise go by and really put it there where it should be with all the other noise, and then you can make your decision. So it's like you don't have to react to everything, you don't have to comment on everything, you don't have to write a blog about everything. It's not what we should do as humans. For us, it's about to find what brings us together and to create communities that are based on a loving understanding. And I mean, we will always have people you don't like and people you like more. That's just the nature of being human. But we don't have to follow an ideology that separates us because we are so far, our technology is so far, and it would be so easy to use the technologies to connect us and not separate us even further
Why do you think so many people are scared to sit in silence?
because it's super uncomfy. If you don't know how to do it, this is where the noise gets really loud. People who are noisy, for them, it's very noisy inside. They have no stillness of their mind. They would explode if they would shut up. But that's really what it is. They cannot sit there because it's not a quiet mind.
Yeah, I ask clients because with my coaching clients, I do bring in the practices of breath work and meditation. And when we finally get to the root cause or the issue of why they don't want to meditate, it's because people say, I'm scared to listen to what my thoughts have to say. And it's true, because it is uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. You almost want to turn that radio dial of the outside world down. Then you're left with yourself, and you're just here, the thoughts, the fears, the worries, all those things. And it's so much easier because you can consume, you can be distracted all day long. Even when we sleep, people are distracted. They wake up with thoughts. And so, what is your vision? I'm sure you have a big, bold vision for Love Tuner, and also for the impact that it can make in the world. What's your biggest vision for the world?
It was interesting when I started Love Tuner. We had like some people from the yoga world, we had spiritual leaders coming on board and whatnot. But my vision was always, think about a guy that can also be a woman, obviously, that sits in traffic, has stress, has a long work day, and comes home. So it carries a certain frequency, it carries a vibration. And my biggest wish is that people understand how to regulate their vibration. For example, when this person comes home, if he takes 5 minutes in the car and tunes it out of his system, tunes into his family, I think that would be something that can really change our world. Because like there's nothing we can do on the outside. And spiritual revolution starts within. It starts with people waking up. And we have seen this since the pandemic. It was traumatic, but we also see so many people that stood up and talked about stuff. We have way more consciousness when it comes to health, when it comes to whatever, censorship. So nobody talked about this in 2019, or only a little group, but now it's out there. And I think it brought out the bad, but it brought also the good. And now it's just about us, that we all collectively awaken. And if you make the decision not to be one of the one that awakens, then stay wherever you want to stay. But for the people that are willing to do this step, they need to understand that the whole battle is within. There's nothing on the outside. It's not, my partner is not okay, or my financial circumstances, whatever it is. That's all a side product, because the real battle is within you. And as Carl Jung said, if you look on the outside, you become a dreamer. If you go inside, you awaken. And that's really what it is. You cannot master anything else if you don't master yourself. And this is just a work that people need to do. And I've seen this with a lot of people that followed me on my journey. And I had a pretty common, pretty normal life. I was like not obviously spiritual. I didn't talk about it much. These people that followed me saw one thing, that it gets uncomfy at one point. You make the first step and you feel great and go, oh, wow, I found something new. But then, there's a lot of stuff that we have to work through, and this comes up. And then sometimes people go like, oh my God, my life got even worse. But that's the work you need to do. And this is the most critical phase when you go, no matter how your spiritual journey starts, but the journey through life, the most important thing is that you really are true to yourself, and that you go to these dark moments and you come out on the other side, and you come out in a better shape. And at one point you go like, oh wow, when I look back 1 year or 2 years or 5 years, this is not in resonance with me anymore. Your life just becomes better. You have better experiences no matter where you go. And even negative stuff. It's not like life is about that you master it. Nobody said that life is easy. But you will have different experiences because you're in a different vibration. And I always explain it to people when they come to this point of giving up or going, I don't know if it's the right thing for me. And when you're in an airport and airplanes are late and the gates are still occupied, you need to wait till all the airplanes leave, and the next one come in. And this is the hardest phase for humans, to really let go what does not serve you anymore, what is not in your frequency, what is not in your vibration, because all the people that I work with, they have the longing, obviously, that they feel better, that they have something to go with, like they can want to be self-empowered. But on the other hand, frequency works only in one way, and this is you either go up or you go down. You cannot be here, and then on the other hand, you make like the decision that are low vibrational. So it comes to I would say like an entire change of your being. And it doesn't mean that you become super spiritual and that you have to talk only about spirituality. That's not what it is. Spirituality is like living in peace with yourself and with the world around you. And you can only facilitate this if you're self-empowered. And this is why the Love Tuner does something. And I said this at the very beginning of my Love Tuner journey. I said, I don't want to be a guru that people follow, whatever. I said, with the Love Tuner, you become your own guru because you find your own vibration and you recognize what is in harmony with you and what is in dissonance. And when you have this, then yeah, that's it. Then you're golden. Then you just go from there, and then the journey becomes really fun.
Yeah, I love it. It makes me think of Jesus said the kingdom of God is within, and all of the work is within. We want to change the world. We want the world to change, but it's actually the work we do on ourselves that creates the ripple effect for ourselves, the way we respond, for our family, the people that are around us. And I've also found that the more I do the work, the more my taste changes. And so, like you said, they're not in resonance any longer. So there could be relationships you outgrow. There could be habits you outgrow. There could be just things that no longer serve you in the ways that they did before. And for me, it's nice because sometimes they just fall off. It's not like you have to force any of these things. Sometimes they just fall off naturally. Sometimes things are removed from life that maybe were hard for us to do on our own. What were some of those things that changed for you as you continued to do this work and you had your own awakening?
I mean, my biggest thing was like this step from the life what I had before. So I was like, as I said, I was a designer, architect. I was in a very high-paced lifestyle, a Los Angeles fashion scene, Hollywood. And I was pretty much done with this already. So not done, but it was my business. And, if you have seen it, it's enough. And then you just move on. As soon as I stepped in with the Love Tuner, and this became really my tool or for my personal journey too, it happened in a way, as you said, it just came naturally. You meet people and at one point you go like, there's not much there. It's just not the same frequency. And then you meet people and you connect and you go, oh, wow, there's other people out there. And then you get happy. And it's not about the masses of people you have around you. It's really about these connections that are in the same vibration. Everybody understands this. It's just like so many people are scared about losing people when they know it's not good. They know that there's nothing there for them. But it's just like, oh, you don't want to give up this connection. You want to give up this one. But if you really start doing this, and with the Love Tuner, it happens really naturally because you just don't vibe in the same way anymore. And then new experiences come in. And this is just like, if you would understand, like on a certain levels, you connect on different levels. And what is underneath, like the lower law, is not interesting for you anymore. And this is what I recognize is when I step back into, because I did my former company, what was a fashion company for a while, a couple of years when I started a Love Tuner. But it was just not really resonance. And not that I'm not into fashion and design, this is all beautiful, but it was just not this connection. And then you meet people that have completely different vibration, then suddenly you go like, oh wow, that makes me happy. And this is where I want to spend time with. These are communication that are fruitful and they're not superficial. And they really have this depth where you go away from a communication and you feel like, oh, this was a real exchange. And I think this is the most important thing. We need to get a little bit out of, and you have European backgrounds. In America, people are very, very friendly. And for us Europeans, sometimes, especially when I moved here, not understandable because in Europe, you don't have this kind of thing. It also stops very fast on a superficial level. In Europe, you might not have this loving, like super friendliness, but when you connect, you have deeper connections. And this is, I think, in our society here in America, I mean, it's still the top country. I'm super happy to live here, no matter how crazy it is right now. It's like, the entire world is watching us. And what we do is essential. And if we as a nation come together in more lovingness, I think nobody will see this as a weakness. It's just like literally bringing people back to, like, man, God is for everyone. Cherish your family, cherish your own life. It's just the beautiful thing that we need to create again. And I think it's really the depth of something that you really go in there and go like, what drives me? What is my vibe? What do I really want to do? And I think, as you said it earlier, the distraction is the problem. We all have a phone, we have whatever, social media, TV, you name it. We have so many modalities to get distracted and fill our day. But how empty us, a lot of people, and I mean, I do therapy one-on-one, tuning sessions over Zoom. The most thing what I hear from people, and regardless from which background they are coming, is like the emptiness. So people are really empty, and then they tell me what they're all doing, and they tell me about their journeys, and they tell me about whatever their work, but they're still empty. And this is something where I think that needs to be filled up. It's like this: if you want to be happy with yourself, you cannot say, I'm actually happy as an empty after all the destruction you went through. If this is already a part of your life, then you just need to really hit the brake and just rethink what you're doing.
Amazing. Thank you for being such a bright light in this world. I think this is just so amazing. I love it. I can't wait to start using mine. And Sigmar, how can people find you? How can they learn more about your books, about your services, about if they want to purchase their own love tuner? What's the best way they can find you?
Yeah, the best thing is to go on lovetuner.com. So this is where we sell online. And there's also the book available, and it's also published under Waterside Publications, and it's distributed over Amazon. And the book is called One Journey, the Love Tuner book, and it's basically a little bit biography, but the rest, it goes really deep into breathwork and into sound healing and spiritual laws.
So exciting. I can't wait to get my own and then actually bring it into my programs with clients.
Awesome.
I think that they're really going to enjoy it. Yeah. And so I see a lot of uses, and even for the family, I think everybody could use their own. So thank you for joining me. And I do have a final question that I ask all my guests, which is, what does it mean to you to live the width of your life?
Living in the moment. That's the most important thing. Because there's a quote from Timothy Leary, and it was like, I think it's from the 60s, and it was the time of LSD and whatnot. But he said about back then, surfers, now surfing is a big sport, and Olympics and whatnot. But back then, the surfer was a little bit the black sheep of the society still. And he talked about the only person in society right now that understands to live in the here and now is a surfer, because the wave behind him doesn't exist anymore, and the wave in front is not even built. So he's really living in the moment. And I think that's what everybody should try to do, because if you look back, you get depressed. If you look in the future, what is unpredictable, you get anxiety. So this is, I think it's the core of life, is to live in the moment.
Beautiful response. Thank you so much. And I wish you continued success.
Thank you, Aneta. I appreciate it. Thank you.